On July 19th, Caitlin Clark and other WNBA stars staged a bold pay protest for NBA-level money. The fallout was instant. NBA stars and legends chimed in, and they did not hold back.
It's so frustrating, you know what I mean? Like, we played in an era where you had to, earn everything.
Some back the protest, others say pump the brakes. And Clark's role in all this is lighting up the debate even more. Let's break it down. The uprising. The summer of 2025 will forever be remembered as the moment when professional women's basketball took its boldest stand yet. On July 19th, in the heart of Indianapolis at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse, something unprecedented happened that would send shockwaves through the entire basketball world. As over 16,000 fans packed the arena for the WNBA All-Star Game, they witnessed not just an athletic spectacle, but a powerful labor movement that would ignite debates across social media, television studios, and NBA locker rooms nationwide. The scene was set for what many believed would be a celebration of women's basketball at its finest. Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever sensation who had driven unprecedented growth in WNBA viewership and attendance, was supposed to be the crown jewel of the evening. However, a groin injury had sidelined the rookie phenom, leaving many wondering if the magic would still be there. What happened next proved that the WNBA's power extended far beyond any single player.
During the warm-up at the All-Star Game in Indianapolis, instead of wearing team jerseys, they opted for these t-shirts. Leading the charge, star player Caitlin Clark.
No matter how transformative. During warm-ups, something extraordinary unfolded. Players from both Team Clark and Team Collier emerged wearing identical black t-shirts emblazoned with 4 words that would dominate headlines for weeks: "Pay us what you owe us." This wasn't a spontaneous moment of rebellion. It was a calculated move finalized during a players' meeting on the morning of the All-Star Game, following what players described as a contentious collective bargaining agreement negotiation session just days prior.
I think it was a strong time to make such a message because of all the eyeballs that will be likely on this game.
The timing was nothing short of brilliant. Here were the league's brightest stars: Angel Reese, Sabrina Ionescu, Paige Buckers, and yes, even the injured Caitlin Clark, using the WNBA's most visible platform to send an unmistakable message to league executives, team owners, and the basketball world at large. The Women's National Basketball Players Association had opted out of their existing CBA in October 2024, and the pressure had been building ever since.
This is probably the biggest and most impactful negotiations in the history of women's sports. And they know the numbers. They understand that the interest is at an all-time high.
But what exactly were these players demanding? The numbers tell a story that's both inspiring and infuriating, depending on your perspective. WNBA players currently receive approximately 9.3% of league revenue, a figure that stands in stark contrast to their NBA counterparts who enjoy a 49 to 51% split of basketball-related income. To put this in perspective, the WNBA's total player compensation hovers around $19.5 million annually across the entire league, while individual NBA superstars like Stephen Curry command nearly $60 million per year on their own.
I don't know how anybody in the world with a brain, and maybe my brain is just bigger than most, can rationally say the women don't deserve more money at this point.
The irony of the situation was palpable. Here was a league experiencing unprecedented growth record viewership, averaging 1.1 million per game in 2024, up from 500,000 in 2023, attendance nearing 10,000 per game in 2025, and a new $2.2 billion media deal starting in 2026. Yet the athletes driving this success were earning salaries that barely qualified as living wages in many American cities. Nafisa Collier, who would go on to win MVP honors for the All-Star Game, articulated the players' frustration with remarkable clarity. "We get a very tiny percentage of all the money that's made through the WNBA, which obviously is made through the entertainment we provide." Her words carried extra weight considering her dual role as both a superstar player and co-founder of Unrivaled, a competing 3-on-3 league that offers average salaries of $220,000, nearly matching the WNBA's maximum salary.
There is no WNBA without the players, and the fans are supporting them too.
The crowd's reaction was perhaps the most telling aspect of the entire evening. As fans began chanting, "Pay them," during the MVP ceremony, it became clear that this wasn't just a labor dispute. It was a movement with genuine grassroots support. Players like Kelsey Plum described the moment as giving her chills, while others spoke of feeling an unprecedented level of unity and purpose. But beneath the surface of this inspiring display of solidarity, tensions were already beginning to emerge. Kelsey Plum's comment that 0 members of Team Clark were very present for the t-shirt decision Brown hinted at potential fractures within the movement. Was Caitlin Clark, the league's biggest draw and highest-earning player through endorsements, truly committed to the cause? Or were there underlying divisions that threatened to undermine the players' united front? The financial realities underpinning the protest painted a complex picture that would prove challenging for both supporters and critics to navigate. The WNBA reportedly operates at a loss, with estimates of $40, $50 million in 2024, heavily subsidized by the NBA, which owns 60% of the league. Critics would seize on these numbers to argue that the players' demands were unrealistic, while supporters questioned the accuracy of reported losses, citing what some called voodoo accounting in professional sports. As the All-Star game concluded and players returned to their respective teams, one thing was crystal clear. The landscape of professional women's basketball had shifted dramatically. The pay us what you owe us movement had captured the attention of fans, media, and most importantly, NBA players who understood better than anyone the power dynamics at play in professional sports labor negotiations. The stage was now set for a battle that would extend far beyond conference rooms and negotiating tables. This was about respect, recognition, and the fundamental question of what professional athletes, particularly women, were worth in an entertainment-driven economy. As social media exploded with reactions and NBA stars began weighing in on the controversy, it became evident that the story was just beginning to unfold. Support, skepticism, and the economics of basketball. The reverberations from that Indianapolis evening spread through the basketball world like wildfire, reaching NBA locker rooms, television studios, and social media platforms, where some of the game's biggest names would soon weigh in. What emerged was a fascinating tapestry of perspectives that revealed not just individual opinions, but deeper truths about the economics of professional sports, the politics of athletic labor, and the complex relationship between the NBA and WNBA. Charles Barkley, never one to mince words, emerged as one of the most vocal supporters of the WNBA player's position, though his reasoning was as pragmatic as it was passionate.
Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty girls. Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA.
Barkley's support wasn't just about fairness. It was about recognizing economic reality. He understood that Caitlin Clark had become the league's primary revenue driver, and that her success should translate into benefits for all players. LeBron James, whose own career had been marked by battles over player empowerment and fair compensation, offered a more measured but equally supportive perspective.
I'm glad that Caitlin has a great head on her shoulder. She seems like it. I don't think I've ever met her. I don't think I've met her before, but it seems like everything is going to be great for her because she's a great talent. She seems like a great gal.
James's comments reflected his understanding of the pressures facing highly touted young athletes entering professional leagues under intense scrutiny.
Do I need to call you the female version of Steph Curry, or do I need to call Steph Curry the male version of Caitlin Clark?
Stephen Curry, whose own playing style had drawn countless comparisons to Clark, provided perhaps the most technical analysis of her impact.
You can't help but watch when she plays, where she's shooting from, the range, the confidence, the flair. Like, she's a performer. It's crazy though, just because her shot is like that, it's at that level. But if you really watch, like, her floor game is as impressive. So it's kind of the total package.
Curry's praise carried particular weight given his status as arguably the greatest shooter in basketball history. But support wasn't universal across NBA circles. The complexity of the situation became apparent as various figures began examining the underlying economics that made the WNBA's situation so challenging. The league's persistent financial struggles, with reports indicating the organization had never turned a profit in its 28-year history, provided ammunition for skeptics who questioned whether the players' demands were realistic. Kevin Durant, whose early recognition of Clark's talent predated her WNBA career, offered insights that bridged athletic appreciation with business reality.
Yeah, she's displaying some skill, and she moving fast. It looked like everybody on that court is way slower than her when she get into her stuff. She was always leading that. She always had the ball in her hands. Everybody was playing off of her. She just commanded the whole game. It's nice. It was like, oh, she's the best player in the country.
Durant's early recognition of Clark's exceptional abilities lent credibility to arguments about her transformative impact on the league. The conversation took on added complexity when figures like Robert Griffin III publicly called upon Caitlin Clark fans to support WNBA players' demands for better salaries. Griffin's involvement highlighted how the debate had transcended basketball circles, drawing in athletes from other sports who understood the dynamics of professional sports labor negotiations. The debate intensified when examining individual cases that highlighted the stark disparities between leagues. Caitlin Clark's 4-year WNBA contract worth $338,056 paled in comparison to NBA rookie Victor Wembanyama, Wembanyama's $55 million deal, despite Clark's demonstrable impact on league revenues and viewership. This comparison became a rallying point for those arguing that WNBA salary structures were fundamentally unfair. Magic Johnson, whose own era-defining rivalry with Larry Bird had helped transform the NBA from a struggling league into a global powerhouse, offered perspective that resonated with many observers. Johnson's comments highlighted historical patterns in professional sport, where established players initially resist rising stars. The international perspective added another layer to the discussion. Luka Doncic's admission that Clark can shoot it better than me demonstrated how NBA players recognized and respected her abilities even while acknowledging the vast differences in their respective earning potentials. This recognition from elite male athletes helped legitimize arguments about the value WNBA players brought to their sport.
She shooting let that ball fly. I watched a little bit, but then I had to do some treatment. But it was amazing. I watched the first half, but she got to go in the second half, so I didn't watch that.
Perhaps most significantly, the debate revealed fundamental differences in how various stakeholders viewed the relationship between performance, marketability, and compensation in professional sport. While Clark's endorsement deals totaling approximately $11 million in 2024 demonstrated her commercial value, her WNBA salary of $78,066 remained a fraction of what NBA players earned for comparable impact. As NBA players continued to weigh in through social media, interviews, and casual conversations, a pattern emerged. Those who had experienced similar scrutiny and pressure early in their careers tended to be more supportive of the WNBA player's position. Veterans who understood the business side of professional sports were more likely to focus on the economic realities that complicated the situation. The backlash, the reality check, and the future of women's professional basketball. The honeymoon period for the "pay us what you owe us" movement was remarkably brief. Within days of the All-Star Game protest, a fierce backlash emerged across social media platforms, talk radio shows, and sports commentary programs that revealed the deep-seated tensions surrounding women's professional sports, economic equity, and the complex relationship between entertainment value and financial compensation. The criticism came from multiple directions, but perhaps none was as pointed as the financial reality check that dominated much of the discourse. Social media erupted with comments questioning how employees of a consistently unprofitable enterprise could demand higher compensation.
Caitlin Clark, with all the fame, all the fortune, all the attention, Angel Reese, all these women, they lost $40 to $50 million. $50 million, subsidized by the NBA. The NBA literally owns 50% of the profits. They've been subsidized by the NBA for 20 plus years.
The most vocal critic emerged in the form of conservative commentator who didn't hold back in his assessment.
You lucky I don't fire somebody. If y'all came to me, anybody downstairs come to me after we have lost hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars every year for the last 20 plus years, and you say, pay me what you owe me. Hey, I hope your family is okay with this decision.
This type of harsh criticism became representative of a broader sentiment among those who viewed the protest as tone-deaf, given the league's financial struggles. However, the situation was far more nuanced than either side initially acknowledged. Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports, despite his sometimes controversial persona, offered a more balanced perspective, arguing that the league's reported losses might not tell the complete story, and that the players' timing during a period of unprecedented growth was actually quite strategic.
Listen, NBA players make 50% of revenues. WNBA players make 9%. And now the merch sales are up 500% and attendance is up, 40%. So they're going to get a raise. There's no question. And I don't really care that the previous 25 years they didn't make a lot of money or lost money.
The involvement of media personalities like Colin Cowherd provided a more sophisticated analysis of the business dynamics at play.
Why do you take a shot at the golden goose, Caitlin Clark? You guys were flying before she arrived on one of those airlines that made you pay for a cup of water. One of those airlines that the planes are the color of a highlighter. Now you're flying private.
Cowherd's analysis highlighted what many observers saw as a strategic mistake, criticizing or alienating the very player who had driven much of the league's recent success. The Caitlin Clark dynamic proved to be the most complex aspect of the entire controversy. While Clark had participated in the protest by wearing the t-shirt, Kelsey Plum's comment about Team Clark's limited involvement in planning the demonstration suggested potential fractures within the movement. Critics and supporters alike began questioning whether the league's biggest star was truly committed to the cause. cause, or simply going along to avoid controversy. The irony of Clark's situation was particularly stark, with endorsement deals worth approximately $11 million in 2024 compared to her WNBA salary of $78,066. She represented both the best and worst aspects of the current system. Her off-court earnings demonstrated the commercial viability of women's basketball stars, while her modest WNBA compensation highlighted the structural limitations of the league's salary framework.
I think so many people are watching women's basketball right now. It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is.
Angel Reese's perspective added another layer to the discussion. Her assertion that the growth of women's basketball wasn't solely attributable to one person reflected broader tensions within the league about recognition and credit.
And I know I'll go down in history. I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that. It's not just because of one person.
This sentiment highlighted how individual achievements and collective progress could sometimes create tension within the movement for better compensation. The economic analysis of the situation revealed complexities that defied simple narratives. While the WNBA's revenue had grown from $102 million in 2019 to an estimated $180, $200 million in 2023, with projections of $300, $500 million under the new media deal. Critics pointed out that growth and profitability were different metrics. The league's expansion with new teams in Cleveland, Detroit, Philadelphia, and Toronto, each paying $250 million in expansion fees, suggested investor confidence, but also highlighted the capital requirements of professional sports operations.
But you can argue for the percentage share of the revenue, which is what the players are doing, like the NBA.
Sports journalist, perspectives provided crucial context for understanding the broader implications of the movement.
Hi, Fia. Obviously, you made a statement with your play, but you guys made a statement about the pay today, and it said, pay us what you owe us on the shirts. It's going to get a lot of attention. If you could just say in the simplest form to those who are just getting aware of this now, what do you mean by what you owe us?
The players are what is building this brand and this league. There is no league without the players, and the past, present, the ones coming up, they're the ones that have put in the blood, sweat, and tears for the new money that's coming in, and so we feel like we are owed a piece of that pie that we helped to create. So that's basically what that is.
The framing of these questions revealed how even sympathetic media coverage struggled to articulate the player's position in terms that addressed skeptics' concerns. The international perspective on women's sports provided additional context for the WNBA's struggles. Many WNBA players supplement their income by playing overseas during the off-season, often earning significantly more than their domestic salaries. This reality underscored both the global demand for elite women's basketball and the WNBA's position as underpaying relative to international markets. As negotiations continued toward the October 2025 deadline, several potential outcomes began to emerge. The threat of a potential walkout in 2026, as hinted by players like Angel Reese, created urgency around finding a resolution. Historical precedents from NBA and other professional sports lockouts suggested that work stoppages could damage fan interest and sponsor relationships, potentially setting back the league's progress. The emergence of alternative leagues like Unrivaled, which offers average salaries of $220,000 and player equity, provided players with additional leverage in negotiations. The possibility that star players might prioritize off-season leagues that offered better compensation represented a potential threat to the WNBA's talent pipeline and competitive balance. Looking toward the future, the success or failure of the Pay Us What You Owe Us movement would likely depend on several key factors. The ability of league executives and team owners to balance financial reality with player demands would be crucial. The continued growth of fan interest and corporate sponsorship would provide the revenue foundation necessary to support higher salaries. Most importantly, the unity of the player movement and their ability to maintain public support while addressing legitimate economic concerns would determine whether this moment represented a turning point or simply another chapter in the ongoing struggle for equity in professional sports. The upcoming 2025 media rights deal and potential CBA changes represented the most concrete opportunities for meaningful change. Whether the various stakeholders could find common ground that addressed both the players' demands for fair compensation and the league's need for financial sustainability would ultimately determine whether the summer of 2025 marked the beginning of a new era for women's professional basketball, or simply another another false dawn in the long struggle for recognition and respect. The legacy of that July evening in Indianapolis had already been secured. It had forced the basketball world to confront uncomfortable truths about gender, equity, and the value of athletic entertainment. Whether those conversations would translate into meaningful change remained to be seen. But one thing was certain: the landscape of professional women's basketball had been forever altered, and there would be no going back to the way things were before. Like the video? Click one of the cards to dive into more content like this.